Hey guys, it's Gerald and Jay from the Clockhouse. We just really felt compelled to do something and just thank some people for all the things that happened for us. We got a pretty long ways working on our stuff. We did several albums, we released a couple labels, but we really wouldn't have gotten anywhere close to those goals if we hadn't had some help. So the purpose of this video is really just to say thank you to a few people that really helped us along the way, and honestly, without you guys, it wouldn't have happened. So
I agree 100%. It's not that we haven't been thankful over the years. We just never really had the time. When you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're more focused on yourself and getting things done. And we've started to lose some people, or people start to die. So we felt that now was the perfect time for us to get together with you guys and thank all you guys that are still out there, and for all the things that you did, because we wouldn't have got where we got, and we wouldn't have had the success we had without you guys. G and I met in 1989 in Jacksonville, Florida. I was down there working, or I went down there to spend the summer with my best friend, Bruce Wilson, or my oldest friend, Bruce Wilson. Known him since 6th grade, and he is the vocalist for Clockhouse for 10 years. So when Gerald and I speak today, we're speaking for the two of us and my little brother Bruce, who couldn't be here with us today. He's down in Florida now. He's head of IT for Applebee's in the South. He's done wonderful things with his life, and so when we speak today, we speak on his behalf also. So without any further ado, you want to get started?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Jacksonville first, kind of the place where it all started. First person I want to thank, actually I'm going to do this in reverse. I want to thank Vinny Coppola, because he was a roommate and one of the first people that kind of helped us carry the torch of a new vision for Clockhouse. He played bass on our demos and was one of the first members of Clockhouse, along with Jay and Bruce and I. And so Vinny, you were the first bass player. We really appreciate you. Larry Hickman was an instrumental part of us getting started, and Larry Hickman is a phenomenal soul. I don't think I've ever met a nicer person, and so thank you, Larry, for being a part of that.
Thank you, Larry.
Go ahead, Jay.
I'd like to thank the Gardner family, because Gerald's family, because they did one of the most important thing at the very beginning they went and purchased us an Akai MG1214. Now, if you don't know what an Akai MG1214 is, it's a 12-track recorder, and for back in the day,
it was gold. Yeah.
This thing was the Millennium Falcon, okay? And we drove this thing until the hubcaps fell off of it. We figured out a way to record not only the 12 tracks that are on it, but with SMPTE, we were able to do virtual keyboards. We were making recordings back in the early 90s, late 80s with 24 tracks.
Yeah.
Now, granted, when we mixed them, we were doing the dance. We had hopping back and forth between the faders and stuff. But so I want to thank the Gardner family for that. I also want to thank the Wilson family.
Yep.
Their support in Jacksonville was everything. So thank you, Miss Wilson, and thank you, Mr. Wilson. Yep. Thank you. I love you both from the bottom of my heart. So, you want?
Yeah. So we were initially called the Boys of Platinum Court because we were renting a house back in those days. In was it Middleburg?
It was Middleburg.
It was Middleburg. We had a house on Platinum Court, so that's kind of where we started. So back in those days, I want to thank Barry from Code of Ethics, Barry Blass.
Thank you, Barry.
He goes by Barry Blaze today, but he was also an instrumental part of just the scene. Even though he had his own thing going on, Jay and I were kind of helping with that. He was helping us, so we're very thankful of that.
He did pretty good for himself too.
Yeah, he did all right. He did okay. I want to thank Bob Nice from Nice House and Music. Bob was one of those guys that all the little local musicians would just flock to his store, and he would bend over backwards trying to find ways to get them the gear they needed, just helping any way that he could. So thank you for that.
He gave us when we did our first showcase for a record label. He actually let us take the whole back of his store. It was a full stage.
Yeah, it was. I do remember that.
And he let us go back there and rehearse. People just don't do stuff like that anymore. Thank you, Bob. You're a wonderful person. Thank you. So we got the opportunity to work with some amazing musicians.
Yep.
So, and I know that brevity is the soul of, what's the saying? Brevity is the soul of wit, so we're going to try to keep this going as quickly as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So, G, go ahead. Why don't you?
All right, I'm going to talk about bass players a little bit. I want to talk about Tom Keneally. If I said that name, if I pronounced your last name wrong, I'm sorry, man. But I've been talking to you on Facebook. You're one of the funniest people I know. I steal a lot of memes from you. So kudos to you. Thank you for being there for us. Bear White, wherever you are, man. You are an awesome bass player. I hope you're okay. John Coffer. So 6-string bass.
5-string
bass.
Yeah,
played
the Peanuts. He played the theme song with Peanuts. One of the best musicians I've ever had the opportunity to work with. He was a brilliant bass player.
Yep.
Thank you, John.
Yep. Lisa, my wife, we signed our first deal and came over to Nashville. She was our bass player. So
Lisa Gardner.
Still married to her almost 30 years later.
There you go.
So Mark Malone, my God, funkiest bass player that ever walked the earth. Man, I always wonder what happened to you. So I know you did some time at submarines and you fixed the brakes of my car. You were just generally a great guy, but you were so funky.
And thank you for not killing Bruce that one night.
Yeah. And again, thanks, Vinny, for playing bass for us. All right.
Okay, so then I'm going to take the drummers. We had, at the very beginning, we had 2 Johns. Now, we can't remember what your last names were, and that is no indication of what we thought of you as musicians. I thought you were wonderful. Loved you guys to death, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. Scott Flynn. Now, Scott Flynn was the first real drummer that I worked with where I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy is amazing. He graduated from the University of North Florida. He was a phenomenal drummer. It probably still is a phenomenal drummer. Great drummer. And of course, my favorite person in the entire world is Freddie Breeden. Thank you, Freddie. We met Freddie at the very end, and we actually dragged him here with us to Nashville after we got our first contract with Krelex Records. And Freddie was a trooper. I remember how he rehearsed and he tried out. We had him jumping through the hoops to get in the band. He's got to be one of the nicest people I've ever met. Thank you. And he lives here in Nashville now.
Yeah, lives one neighborhood over from where we live right now. So.
We love you, Freddie. Thank you so much. And Tony Mills. Tony Mills, when we did our first album, Sundials and Wires, I got a little carried away with the guitars. And when we would go play live, it was kind of hard for one guitar player to go out there and do all the backing parts and all the main lead parts. So Tony, who was actually a guitar tech of mine before that, came on and played live with us. Tony, thank you so much. Thank you for all that you did during that time and because we were rehearsing bastards. We rehearsed nonstop, relentlessly, and you were there. You were a real trooper through the entire thing. Thank you so much, Tony.
Let's talk about like the ladies that sang with us, and I just want to say, first and foremost, Linda Bigby, you did some amazing vocals on Sundials and Wires. So, and I also ran into you like 20 years later at Costco in Nashville. That was like one of the coolest things. To be thinking about somebody that same week and just run into them out of nowhere. So thank you to you. And Rhonda Michaels, I don't know where you are.
She's in Jacksonville still.
She's still in Jacksonville?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And Linda Brown. So thank you all for doing some amazing backups. Thank you, Linda Bigby, for doing some amazing vocals, not just backups. On our record, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so real quick, we like to mention the clubs that we played with at the very beginning, because when we were establishing ourselves at the very beginning, back in the day, that's how you got a record contract. You had to go play every shit club, every shit bar.
Not that these are shit clubs. These are not shit clubs.
No, you had to play everywhere, but you had to start at the bottom and work your way up to the good clubs. Now, these are the good clubs that we played, and they were our mainstay, our staple, when we were in Jacksonville, and they helped us build our following, and they helped us get the record contracts. I'd like to thank Shades. I'd like to thank Roadhouse. I'd like to thank Docksides. I'd like to thank Club 5. That was a great club.
I love that place.
Yeah, the Milk Bar. The Milk Bar was everybody used to play the Milk Bar.
Yeah,
and then the Continental Metropolitan, that was kind of down on the walk. And we played with the Smithereens, and I'm not going to get it. We played with a bunch of people out there. That was a great club. So then we've got, you want to discuss our first album, Sundials and Wires?
Yeah, so we had some killer artwork that was done for that by Ramworks.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, Greg, thank you so much for that. And Ernie Boyer, haven't talked to you in, I don't know, 30 years plus, but you did some amazing photographs for us, so I want to say thanks for that. That was our first record. That one got
Chris, yep.
Go ahead.
Chris Mueller, executive producer.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and yeah, it's on the first page. That's okay.
Exactly.
And then Caval Inc. for mastering. You did a wonderful job in the mastering of that album. Thank you so much. Videos. Okay, so real quick, I'd like to thank Mike Anderson for shooting. He shot two. Was it two? We had a couple of videos. I know he at least did one of them. But Mike Anderson, thank you for the videos. Wayne Keller, thank you for putting us in your movie, The Open Window. That was very cool of you. It was always nice. It was nice to work with an up and coming director. Thank you so much. And then finally, well, not finally. Why don't you do the bands? This is one of my favorite
these are all the
things.
bands we played with. Jacksonville had some amazing talent back in those days, and I think the Senses are actually out playing even to this day. So the guys from the Senses were amazing. Thanks, Doc and friends. Piowacket, Barrel House, Scott Whittier, and Dave Hamby had an amazing industrial band. I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the band, but I remember being really jealous of the music you guys were putting out. So that was amazing. And then Dream in Color. That's Kenny and Denny. Right?
That's right. And then they went on to be Swirl 360.
Swirl 360. Those, the twin brothers.
And they got a contract also.
So freaking talented.
Yeah, great guys.
Always wanted to be those guys too.
Press. I'd like to thank Leslie. Leslie, I'm sorry I can't remember your last name, but you were pivotal at the very beginning of Clockhouse, helping us get our name out there. And then Arvid Smith, dude, you were freaking awesome. You're a great. You were a great artist, and also I loved your reviews of our albums and stuff. Thank you so much for helping us get started out there. Management. I don't know. Go ahead.
I want to thank Shannon Davidson. She worked at one of the record stores there in Jacksonville. And I think she actually helped on the wall here. I've got our Sundials and Wires record kind of put in a little press there. She helped promote us. Was also pivotal.
She got us in the listening stations in the stores in Jacksonville.
That's right. It was so freaking cool. So thanks, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you so much. Management. Well, first one is Charles Wells. Thank you, Charles. I know that you're still friends with Bruce on Facebook. I haven't spoken to you in forever. You did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. You're a great guy. But this one is really important to us. This one is
Charles was important too.
Yeah, I'm not belittling what you did, Charles. Thank you. But Ann Thompson will always have a permanent part in my heart. So Ann Thompson was actually part of the Leonard Skinner family. She was actually supposed to be on the plane the night that the plane crashed.
Yeah.
And she saw us playing at clubs, and we were her little boys. And she took us in, and she got us started in Jacksonville. And she was at every show. What a wonderful human being. We lost Ann a while ago.
Yeah.
And what a great human being. Thank you, Ann, and you were always in our heart.
Yeah, we love you.
So from Jacksonville, we went on to Nashville. We packed up and we moved everybody to Nashville, and we started over. That was me, Gerald, and Bruce, and Lisa.
And Freddie.
And we started over, and let's start at the beginning.
So Freddie ended up finding something else to do, and he left us, but we're still friends with him. So again, we're thankful for Freddie. Scott Sullivan, dude, what an amazing drummer. Holy moly.
Cool guy too.
Yeah, Scott was incredible. On to the next one.
Wes Bishop.
Who's going to be here just a little bit.
Yeah, Wes, we're going to say Wes is the best musician. I think Joel and I spoke about that. Yeah. I've had the opportunity to work. Wes is the best.
Wes is the best.
It doesn't matter. It wouldn't make a difference if it was drums. Yeah. You know what? He is just a phenomenal drummer. But he's so much more than that.
He's got the personality to back it up too. So
whenever I stepped on stage with Wes, we were bulletproof. We were absolutely bulletproof. You couldn't mess with us. Wes, I love you. I adore you. Thank you.
Bruce Wilson, man. Our first vocalist, our friend, our buddy, was with us through thick and thin all the years. So before you had to move back to Atlanta.
He went to Atlanta, and then he ended up back in Jacksonville.
Yeah, so we miss you, and we're just very thankful that you're the one that lit the torch with us and carried it for as long as you did. So thank you for that.
I love you, little brother, and you know it. So
and another important person.
Yeah, Jason. So Jason Spencer was the last vocalist we had for Clockhouse, and as many of you know, we lost Jason last year. Jason is just he was a big teddy bear. He was Hagrid.
Yeah.
He was Hagrid.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I miss him. And Jason, I always love you. Thank you.
Let's move on to every Android I know. The first thing I wanted to thank is Attack Records. So we signed a deal with Attack and got that record released. I do also want to mention Music for the Future, which was publishing through EMI, through Robert Williams, who was our fantastic manager, Glenn Blackman, who was a fantastic manager for us. those are the guys that were instrumental in bringing us to Nashville to begin with. So I can't say enough about those two. And Robert, of course, and your beautiful wife and family, John.
Yep.
I mean, John's who kind of discovered us.
Exactly. So real quick before we move on to the, so I'd like to thank Mark Berry, the president of Attack and executive producer of Attack Records. I'd like to thank A&R Randall Patterson. I'd like to thank Jamie Castleman for your artwork on the album.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'd like to thank Tom King for the mastering on the album. Let's see what we got.
Got a little out of order.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll let you do Razor Blade Bouquet.
Okay, so we recorded 4 albums. We recorded Sundials and Wires. We recorded Every Android I Know. We recorded a Razor Blade Bouquet, and we recorded a Watchmaker's Autumn. The 3rd album, a Razor Blade Bouquet, I'd like to thank Jason on vocals, Wes on drums, Steve Sibley. Now, Steve Sibley played the bass on this album, but Steve did a whole lot more than that. Steve is probably one of the more multi-talented people I've ever met. We hired him on when we were producing to come in as an engineer.
Yeah.
He would mix our songs for us and everything, and he was just a little kid. He just came out of college, and I got to tell you, his potential was amazing. Yeah. And he was not only a great person, a great. I hope that he's producing out there somewhere now. I hope that he learned something from us, that he went on to become better than us, because he had all the potential too. He's just an amazing person, a well-rounded. I love you, Steve. You're a great guy. Rocky on guitar. Thank you, Rocky.
Where you at, Rocky?
Yeah, he was in Colorado for a while. I'm not sure we went. G, of course, did programming on it also. Steve mixed and engineered it, and so I'd like to thank everybody for that too. I think that's it for a Razor Blade Bouquet. So now let's get into the meat of it. Management. So I'm gonna start with John. I'm stealing John.
That's fine.
Okay, John Williams met us, me and G, when we were on Code. We're on tour with Code of Ethics, and we met him. We were looking for management because we wanted to do something after the Krelex records, and they ended up getting us on Attack Records. John, we hit it off with him immediately.
Yeah, what a great guy.
And through John, thank you, John, and we love you. We think you're an awesome person. Through John, we ended up meeting his father, Robert Williams, who was the manager and one of the main managers for Williams and Bell. Robert Williams and Miles Bell. They are pivotal in our success.
Mission Miles.
And Miles Bell, among many of the things that he'd done, he was one of the former managers for Kool and the Gang, among many things that he already done. Robert, your list of accomplishments.
Yeah.
So Robert is like, I remember the first time I introduced Robert to Freddie Breeden, the drummer, and I told him, I said, this guy, you got to watch this guy. He's like somebody out of a movie. He's amazing. And I remember telling John one day, I was like, your dad's the only person I know that can tap dance on the pinhead and talk a monkey off a banana truck. And it stands true to this day. Yeah. Robert, I adore you.
Yeah.
I think you're an amazing person, and I miss our conversations.
I miss our red wine time. That's what I miss the most.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. If any of your artists ever truly loved and respected you, 2 of them right here, we're at the top of the list. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. And Miles, I couldn't have said it any better.
Miss you, Miles.
I miss you too. And last but not least, my brother Glenn Blackman. Glenn, you might as well have been strapping on an instrument and playing with us every night.
Yep.
You did everything for us. And you're just a great guy, dude. And I'm so happy that you've got a great life in Austria now. And I'm glad that we're kind of envious too. Yeah. Thank you so much for all that you did. There's the list of the things that you did for Robert and for us. It's too much to get into. You were there in the trenches with me and Gerald and all of us from beginning to the end. And thank you so much. I will always love you for it. Thank you. Last but not least, now, we had the opportunity to work with many artists and produce and write for many artists.
Yeah.
We were fortunate. We mentioned that Barry guy. He did pretty good.
Barry guy did all right.
Yeah, he did okay. Barry Blaze from Code of Ethics. He did okay. We love you, Barry. But we had the opportunity to work with young up and coming artists.
Yep.
And we were going to get into it, but guys, it'd be too much to get into.
There's so many people.
We love you guys. We love your families. And I hope that you got as much out of working with us as we did working with you.
Absolutely.
So if we missed anybody here tonight, I am so sorry. And it just means we're getting old.
Our 50-year-old brains are like, we don't know. But feel free to text us or reach out through Facebook. whatever you want. And we'll create a video addendum. So we love you guys.
Thank you so much, and thanks from the Clockhouse. We'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Okay, bye-bye.